Welcome back everyone to EU4 with the Great Culture Wars, and yeah, a few things obviously happened. Let's start with the Breton-Burgundian War over Maine. This basically ended in white peace. The Lyonnese eventually peaced out, and then shortly after the Bretons signed a peace. No promises were exchanged, and also no alliances broken, but I do assume that the Bretons had to give a little bit of money to the Burgundians. So that was the first war. We also obviously had the war between the Croatian Franconian, well, the Franconians peaced out earlier, but the Croatians versus the Turks and Muscovites, they peaced out as well, and yeah, the Croatians lost about half of their provinces. They had to give back the 4 cores to the Turks. The Greeks took Ragusa, and the Serbs took 2 provinces here to the north. That initially belonged to Hungary. So these 3 factions kind of strengthened their grip. The Muscovites were the only ones who didn't get anything, but you know, in fact, you know what? Have they sell? No, they didn't sell this province. I think they the Silesians had this all along. So yeah, the Muscovites didn't get anything out of it, but they are actually just involved in another war. So the Crimeans saw how well it worked, bringing the Muscovites and Turks together, and they declared a war against the Ryazanians here that just ended, actually, just now. And they called in the Muscovites and Turks from the beginning, and later on they called in the Syrians as well. And yeah, they just made a peace deal. So let me see, they took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 provinces, 4 provinces from the Ryazanians at the very least. More like, yeah, okay, so I suppose they took like 6 provinces from the Ryazanians, one from the Albanians. Actually 2 from the Albanians. So they took 8 provinces themselves. They gave quite a bunch of provinces to the Muscovites. Well, actually just 1 to the Muscovites, but the Muscovites also managed to annex Karelia here. So Karelians are gone. Muscovites have grown significantly stronger, and the Ryazanians are just a shamble of their former self. The Sami even used this opportunity to declare war, and I don't think there are many Ryazanian troops left to, to hold their own. Yeah, there's many more Sami troops all around, so they're going to get a whole bunch of territory for themselves as well. The Albanians didn't really have to give up too much, but, it doesn't really help them. So yeah, this is what happened. We also had the Silesians sneaking in and fully annexing the Austrians, so basically 2 more cultures, the Karelians and Austrians, who got completely wiped out. At least they no longer have a nation fighting for them, because they also don't have any colonial nations or other colonies that hold up their culture. So that happened, and yeah, now I think we're in a relative peace. We only have the Sami fighting the Ryazanians and Albanians. Now I suppose, alright, I'll take that back. Maybe this war is not going to be too straightforward, because the Albanians, they will have to deal with their peasant rebels shortly, but once that is done, they will probably be able to help out the Ryazanians here, if it's not too late then. But yeah, this is what happened. And also one more thing that I should mention is the Scots succeeded where the Occitans did not, and they managed to win a war against the against Malacca. And it's actually quite funny, because in the situation we have right now here, we've got the Scots owning Pahang and Kelantan, which they took directly from Malacca, and we've got their personal union buddies, the British taken over, or the English I should say, taken over Malacca just by colonizing it, and they have their other personal union, the Galicians, having a very strong foothold here in the East Indies. Which, why is that the East Indies? I suppose it's the East Indies, but let's just say Southeast China, Southeast Asia. I think that's a little bit better to say. So yeah, I think this is also the reason why the Scots succeeded, because the Occitans always had to, move in with ships. I think they just get defeated, but the Scots were able to land, and so they were able to organize their troops much more easily. And of course, they have a lot more subjects that help them actively in their fights. Other than that, the Scottish Raj is being established here in India, and the English are just insane in colonizing China. Right now, obviously all of Korea has gone to the English as well, but right now it really looks like could it be almost a 50-50 split between English China to the south. I don't know why it's called South China. And then we've got the Syrians taking the actual southern part of China. And then, the Sami and, the Ryazanians probably not so much anymore, but they're creeping in from the north and trying to take over a few lands as well. So This is basically what's been going on in terms of colonization. Africa is still, you know, very slow. The Syrians have claimed a lot of the coast, and they probably mean to cut off anyone else from taking lands here, which is certainly a smart move. The Portuguese look much stronger than they are because this is just a wasteland, so they actually only own these provinces. But yeah, that is that. Now I've checked a few nations with vassals and, you know, personal unions, and yep, that's what I just wanted to mention. The Finns were very close to annexing the Latvians, and they have done that right now. So they have their main lands up here, then they have the Latvian lands, and then they have their conquests here that they took from the Polish. Other than that, we have, obviously, the Danish. We saw them annex their personal union, and they have started the annexation of Pomerania, but I think it's not. Oh, it is progressing now, so it's going to be done in like 3 years. So then the Danish will be completely rid of subject nations, except for the new Dutch colonial nation, and that will make them look even more powerful here in northern Europe, I suppose. Other than that, I think the Scots haven't started annexing anyone. No, they haven't. It's probable that they have to wait before they can annex the Galicians, and the Englishmen are probably just too strong, so they can't annex them just yet. But the Occitans, I think, have started taking annexing the Tuscans. Yeah, so this is going to be done very soon. It says in 1740. Alright, well, we shall see if that is correct. Other than that, though, I think there's a new war that has started. The Moroccan jihad against the Aragonese. So we've got the Andalusians, Tunisians, and Syrians, and the Moroccans, of course, in this war. And the Aragonese get the backing of the #1 greatest power in the world, the Occitans, as well as their personal union and their colonies, although they're not going to do too much. And, of course, their good friends, the Portuguese. So yeah, the Occitans, just wanted to check if I'm not, you know, talking smack here. The Occitans are still #1, but you know what? The Scots, with all their colonies, with all their colonization, especially done by the English, and with their successful defeat of the Moluccans, they are very close to the first place here. So, you know what? If this continues, if the Scots are continuing like this, they will take the first place. The Leonese are very firm on their third place. They have a huge advantage over the Normans, who are coming in fourth place, but it's, you know, they lack about like 100 development, closing up to the first place there. So they can certainly do it, but not if they have to deal with rebels. I think what they should do, they should drop the Gascons. They're not actually allied to the Gascons, but they should do something about them. Take them out, because they're stopping them. Or they should just outright declare war on the Occitans right here, and take over the last few provinces that are left to form Iberia. In fact, if they go to war with the two nations that are ahead of them, the Occitans and the Scots, who own, you know, the Galicians, or have control of the Galicians, they could just unite Iberia and, you know, weaken the two nations that are ahead of them. And that's something they should certainly do. But yeah, let's have a last look at the wars here. So apparently the Sami peaced out, and I suppose they took at least one province. Oh, they took, wow. They took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, they took a lot of provinces. Yes. So that's very good. The Ryzanians are they're just done for. They have their capital moved over here now. Where is it, in Kashmir? No. Where is it? Well, I don't know. It doesn't really matter that much, but they are done for. Ryzanians are now, they're just gonna get eaten up, I think. They might try and colonize some more things, and they will survive. They might even survive until the end of the game, but they're certainly not anything to be afraid of. But yeah, other than that, we have the second one I wanted to check out, Silesian Czech Nationalist War. So yeah, this is a war for dominance in their own culture group. The Polish are already gone, and so now the Silesians might as well take over the last remaining Czech lands, and then they are the only nation left in their culture group as well. So they bring in the Franconians, which basically seals the deal. Yeah, the Czech themselves, you know, they own 2 provinces, and you know, the Wallonians already lost a war against the Franconians. So this is pretty clear. I would say, yep, there's no question about who's going to win that. So I think, while not too many important wars are going on, because, you know, I don't know, this jihad, it doesn't really interest me that much. Of course, the Occitans are in this war, defending the Aragonese, but I don't think they're really going to be losing much. They might even lose Gironca. perhaps they're going to lose Maghreb. Okay, you know what? Maybe this war isn't as unimportant as I make it. Actually, you know what? Yeah. I think a huge portion of the Occitan development is here in the Maghreb region. If they lose that to Morocco and Tunis, that could significantly weaken the Occitans here. Also, you know, the Tuscans have maybe not a significant part of their development, but still, you know, if you, you know, it's at least 40 development down here. And if they lose that to the Syrians or the Tunisians, that would not only, you know, remove the last Catholic bastion in North Africa, but it would also obviously reduce the Occitan development, so much so that the Scottish will be the #1. I think for the first time. And the Irish actually replaced the Catalans as the #8 great power, and they're now here. That's cool to see. If now the Scots manage to get a personal union over them as well, they would truly unite their islands, and there would be basically nothing that could stop them, unless of course their personal unions rebel. But anyways, I think this war, I mean, I guess we'll check it out here. Andalusia seems to be the fighting ground for all these combatants. It's truly a Catholic versus Sunni war, so that's interesting about it. But still, obviously this is not religious wars, this is culture wars, so, you know, religions shouldn't play that big of a role. I still find it funny that Andalusia is the fighting ground, whereas, you know, the Aragonese actually being the ones attacked. But still, I think we can, for a short moment, take some time off and take a look at the military here, because I always wanted to see who has the biggest military, and I'm surprised, well, not really necessarily surprised, but I think it's kind of interesting that it's actually the Leonese who have more troops than the Muscovites. I mean, you gotta say, they've got 138 mercenary regiments. That's insane. And I'm actually surprised the Muscovites have an economy to sustain this, but they apparently do. The manpower isn't doing too well, but, you know, it's not bad either. The Portuguese are just completely out of it, but they have, wow, they have a lot of troops as well. So I assume that, you know, colonizing these territories, especially with the flat values turned on, is, yeah, this is actually quite valuable. Because all the provinces here are very small, this is really a lot of development, and, you know, adds significant strength to the Portuguese here. That's why they're hitting so hard from the south against the Andalusians here. Interesting. I would not have expected them to be up here, but obviously this is going to dwindle quickly, simply because they have no manpower. And they also obviously field 100,000 mercenary, or 100 mercenary regiment, 100,000 mercenaries, so to speak. But yeah, the Syrians have less troops than the Portuguese. I think that's just kind of funny. And in fact, the Portuguese have more troops than the Occitans. Wow. Alright, but yeah, so the Muscovites, no surprise to see them up there. And of course, the only thing that I find surprising is that they have less troops than the Leonese. But then again, you know, it could be that they have just been in more wars, they had to siege more things. It's hard to tell. English Brazil, very, very powerful, but they are being kept in check by the English, who in turn are being kept in check by the Scots. So at the end of the day, if English Brazil stays a colonial nation and doesn't get their independence, 25% of their development and, you know, I guess their troop strength will be added to the Scots in the end of the game. So the Scots are actually more powerful than they're being portrayed right now. I mean, they are #1. Wow, how did they get so much development? I guess it must have been just, yeah, it must have just been colonization. So yeah, they're #1 now, and they're even stronger than that, because I think in the half of subjects development, they do not count the English colonial nations. I'm not sure. But I guess that's something that I will check out later. Actually, we can probably check that right now by going over the ledger. Yeah, the country tab, and let's show the development. So obviously, we've got the highest personal development, the Syrians, and the Catalans, very strong. Muscovites coming afterwards. Leonese, where? Okay, so the English have slightly more development than English Brazil, and they have more than the Scots. The Galicians have 700 what? The Galicians have 722 development. That's insane. So I think that added together, 1,700. No. The Great Power ranking here does not count the colonial nations of subjects. So this score, the Scottish score, is higher than it is up here. So they are undoubtedly the #1 great power right now. And right now, if everything stays the same, the Scots are winning this series. Just so that you guys know. Certainly something I would have not expected. But, you know, lucky personal unions, good colonization. Now they just have to keep it until the end of the game. But yeah, I suppose we quickly check out some more of these wars just to see what's going on. So we still got the jihad going on, and we now have Silesian-Hungarian imperialist war. So I suppose the Silesians are very, very aggressive. They have completely annexed the Czechs here, and I wonder if the Wallonians... No, the Wallonians did not have to give up anything. These 4 provinces have been taken in the previous war, so they just got beaten down. But this is just Silesian imperialism, or nationalism. No, this is imperialism. It was nationalism before. Interesting. So, despite the fact that Silesia and Hungary has the same family on their thrones, the Silesians think that, you know what, we don't want to wait for, you know, the possibility of a personal union. We want these lands under our control now. And, you know, there's no one stopping them. There's no one stopping them. So, I wonder if Hungary can be taken in one war. I suppose not. Then again, if they split between Serbia, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. The Franconians obviously are not going to get anything out of this, but it's good to see Franconia and Silesia working together, because this is a potential wall stopping the Muscovites. Now, the Franconian Romanians weren't able to stop the Turks, but I think the reason here is because it was the Turks and Muscovites fighting them at once. Had it be, you know, just the Turks and Greeks or whatever attacking, they would have been stopped. But I think it was because these two huge and powerful nations were fighting at the same time. But if the Muscovites just want to attack on their own, I think the Silesians and Franconians could stop them. They could very well do that. So I like that. I like seeing that. Because obviously I want some power to be able to stop the Muscovites here. I like how aggressive they are. I like how successful they are, and I also like their border policy, I suppose, because their borders look nice. I mean, they could have taken this, but then again, you know, Crimea was in charge of the peace deal, so I don't blame the Muscovites here. I would suggest for them to obviously take some more lands off the Sami, just that they can actually colonize. But as I said, their borders look nice, so they're not the worst nation to be around. But still, I would like to see someone being able to stop him. Not necessarily take away lands or anything, but just have a good fight. And I think this alliance could very well do that. Especially now with Silesia growing stronger here in Hungary. But yeah, other than that, this is all we have got going on now. I feel like I just missed a war. What war has just ended? Oh, it was it was this war. Now, it doesn't look like the Occitans actually lost anything. No, they did. No, they have cores here. Hold on. So they have cores. This they did not have to give back, but I think they may have lost this province. I think it's... Yeah, they lost that province. Okay, that's for sure. Cool. Okay, and the Tuscans, they had to give up anything? No. Okay, so they didn't lose anything. So it must be the Aragonese. Losing lands? Have you taken some... You have taken some lands, yeah. So you definitely took some stuff from the Aragonese. Not too much. These jihads being declared by the Moroccans, this was the 4th jihad, you know, by the way. They're not really resulting in many province changes. For the most part, the Moroccans are very, I guess, humble, you could say. At least very temperate. They don't really take too many provinces. But yeah, that's obviously... I mean, this might also have to do with the very strong Portugal, which I was very amazed that they had such a big army. But yeah, that's just that. Anything else that's going on? I guess we're just waiting for a peace deal here between Hungary and Silesians. As I said, I don't think everything is going to be taken over. I think there's Hungary is going to be left, but you know, just in name, not really in. They're not going to be able to do anything afterwards. I mean, they still have 50,000 men that could, you know, potentially do something, but for the most part. This is over. 130,000 men. Yeah, you're done for. I guess they have a fortification here. Once that falls, we'll see the peace deal. Pretty sure. And there it is. Yeah. So I assume you do not have a fortress here? You do not. So we'll see a full annexation in the 1700. Now, we also will probably see the spawn of a new institution. Where has it spawned? The manufacturers obviously did spawn in Prussia, but oh, Normandy is the birthplace of the Enlightenment. Okay, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. As you can see, it's growing pretty much everywhere around the world. Oh, well, at least in many places quite quickly. Let me see why it grows here. Can we check that out? I'm not too familiar with this. Universities. Okay, so it's just spreading in all... Wow, there's a lot of provinces with universities. Wow, look at that. Wow, you build a lot of... Yeah, the Dutch must have had a lot of money building tons of universities. But oh, look at the Muscovites and all of their universities. Wow. And they have a parliament as well. I see. Okay, interesting. So that makes sense too. Okay, so I guess we'll wrap this up by you know, just waiting for the peace deal here. It should come on any second now, really. I mean, you get 99%. Yeah, come on. Why would the Hungarians possibly say no to anything that you propose? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Come on. I know you want it. I know it's gonna happen as soon as I stop the video. Alright, fine. Well, maybe you don't want to have a peace. I guess we can come back to this next time. So, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. And, yeah, I will see you guys next time.